Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the John Campea Show here on my YouTube channel. I am, of course, your host, John Campea, and it is an honor and a privilege, as it is every day, to have you guys joining me here as we talk about our favorite things in the world, movies and TV and entertainment and all that kind of good stuff. Here's how today's show is going to go, guys. I have selected out, how many have I selected? I've got 4 questions that I've selected out that you guys have sent in to me. Now, how do you send in a topic or a question to be on the John Campea Show? It's really quite simple. You just email me anytime at john@thejohncampeashow.com. That's john@thejohncampeashow.com. Make sure you put the word subject or topic in the subject line. My brain is not working today. Put the word topic in the subject line. And as always, guys, keep your emails as short as possible. Absolute maximum length would be 90 words, but keep it to 90 words or less. Now, after that, I'm going to go over and start taking some live questions from you guys, and then we will call it a day. All right. So with that out of the way, let's jump into it with question number 1. And the first question today comes to us from Monica Ferguson, who writes, "It's February." Indeed, it is February, as a matter of fact. We all know that Black Panther is... What's Black Panther do? We all know that Black Panther is coming out soon. But I was wondering, what other movies are coming out this month that you think we should keep our eyes on? All right, thanks a lot for the question, Monica. And yeah, it's brand new month. It's February. Just turned the calendar over yesterday. So where are we as far as the movies we should be looking forward to this month? Now, a lot of times, February, January can be kind of iffy, but I actually think there's a couple of little diamonds in the rough here that may turn out to be really good. I haven't seen these ones yet, but I think there are a couple here that I think could be pretty good. Let's look at the release calendar here for a second. Well, the one thing that has opened is Winchester. And my buddy saw it, so I decided to take a pass. I'm probably going to go see Winchester a little bit later this afternoon, to be honest with you. Not really super psyched for that one. I think it sounded neat. I didn't like the feel of the trailer. Then on the 9th, we've got no films that I'm looking forward to. 5:17 to Paris, which is weird to not look forward to because Clint Eastwood directed it, but this whole gimmick he's got going of getting the real life people who were there in the events to be his lead actors. A movie with lead actors that aren't actors doesn't interest me. Sorry. I mean, I get the shtick. I get, the gimmick he's going for. I get it. And why not try it? If you're a filmmaker like Clint Eastwood, why not give something like that a try? It just honestly doesn't appeal to me. And who knows? Maybe it'll turn out to be the best film of the year. We'll have to wait and find out. But I'm not looking forward to that. Obviously, I'm not looking forward to 50 Shades Freed. I am going to go see it. I think tomorrow I'm going to... No. Monday I'm going to go see it. And who knows? Maybe it'll be the redeeming film of the franchise. Maybe not, but I'm not really looking forward to it. And then you also got Peter Rabbit opening on the 9th. And I got to admit, the trailers for Peter Rabbit have done nothing for me. Look, it's possible to have movies that are kid-friendly that can also appeal to everybody. And I love the voice cast. I love the idea of doing a Peter Rabbit movie and all that kind of stuff. But I gotta say, the trailers for me have just been, whatever. So not looking forward to anything coming out on the 9th. Now, we move down to the 16th. Obviously, this is where things heat up. Black Panther's coming out. Obviously, we're looking forward to the Black Panther. But Early Man, not interested. Yeah, it's from the guys who do Wallace and Gromit, so you should be, but I thought the trailers have been bad. And Samson, even though, I'm a guy who comes from a faith background, I am not a fan at all of faith-based films. But here's where it gets interesting. When we get down to the 23rd, I think we got a couple of films here to look forward to. One of them is Annihilation, which I'll bring up here. Look, I'll admit, I have not been thrilled with the trailers for Annihilation, but because of who the filmmaker is, and because of the cast involved, and just the concept seems really cool, I'm very excited for this movie. Trailers didn't get me more excited, fine, but I am very excited for this movie. This is one a lot of us are talking about. So this one comes near the end of the month. But also opening up on that same day, talking about counter-programming, is Game Night. If you take a look at this one here, Game Night, this one isn't getting a lot of marketing, and it's not getting a lot of push from the studio. But I'll tell you what, from what I've seen, it looks really fun. And, when you get, cast in there like a Jason... Well, first of all, I always trust Jason Bateman in a comedy. If Jason Bateman's in a comedy, I will trust him that he will deliver something. And I'm a big fan of Rachel McAdams, good Canadian kid Rachel McAdams. And just the trailers, to me, have made me smile and chuckle and laugh. So I'd say, if you want to ask the question that besides Black Panther, what should we be looking forward to the most? The 2 films that really jump out to me for February that I'm looking forward to are Annihilation and Game Night. Now, who knows? Maybe they'll be the worst movies of the month. Maybe 1517 to Paris will be the best. Maybe 50 Shades Free will be that movie that comes out of nowhere and impresses us all. Who knows? But those are the ones that I'm at least looking forward to. But jump down to the comment section, guys. Aside from Black Panther, which is probably obviously the #1 most looked forward to film of the month, what movies that are coming out have your attention, that have caught your interest, and you're actually interested in going out and seeing? Leave me your thoughts in the comments section below. All right, let's move on to the next question. And the next question today comes to us from Jason Ellis, who writes, "Hey, John, love the show." Thank you so much, Jason. "I have a question on review embargoes. Once a movie is screened and the social media reactions are overwhelmingly positive, for example, Black Panther, wouldn't it be prudent to lift the review embargo so that the full reviews can come out? Or is there a reason studios prefer to keep the embargo as it is set? Perhaps positive social media reaction just has a better chance to go viral?" Well, here's the thing, and we've kind of talked about this a little bit before. So it's becoming a new thing where there are actually two review embargoes. There's a social media embargo, which means, hey, you know what? There's your movie review, that's your full movie review. But if you want to send out a quick tweet or a quick Facebook post saying, hey, here's what I thought of the movie. Hey, I really liked it. Or, oh my gosh, I just had a great time at game night or whatever. If you want to do that, you can do that. Just hold your review. So that's the social media embargo. Usually the social media embargo gets lifted as soon as the first screening happens, usually, but sometimes it's different. The main embargo, though, is the full review. Like if you're actually going to go into it and actually explain your thoughts, explain your points of view, go through different stages of the movie, all that kind of stuff, doing your 5, 6, 7-minute review on YouTube or writing your multi-page review on your website, that's a different embargo entirely. That's your review embargo. So the question is, well, if you're putting out the social media embargo, why not just let people put out their reviews at the same time? It's because of pace. They want to pace out when they get surges of positive buzz. Because here's the thing. We already saw Black Panther last week, right? The social media embargo lifted. You've seen on Twitter people's reactions. Okay, great. That's a big push for positive buzz. But what good is it if they lift the full review embargo and the full review embargo and the social media embargo on the same day, almost 3 weeks before the movie comes out? Great, you get a big surge of positive buzz for 48 hours, and then it dissipates. That's the 24-hour news cycle. It dissipates. So what these studios like to do is, okay, we'll get a surge of positive buzz here by letting the social media embargo lift. So everybody tweets out the reactions. Big push, right? Big positive buzz push. But now the full review embargo doesn't lift till February 6th. That means on February 6th, they're going to get another surge of positive buzz, as opposed to if they just lifted the review embargoes for both of them 3 weeks in advance. Then by the time Black Panther comes out, all that positive surge buzz, or a lot of it, has dissipated, right? You still have everybody looking forward to the movie, but that surge of positive buzz that comes from the reviews, that comes from the reactions, it's now been spent. You've blown your load, right? You've blown your proverbial load all at once. What the studios want to do is pace it out. Get a good surge of positive buzz here and get good surge of positive buzz here when we're just 9 days out from the movie coming out. So pacing it out is a part of the strategy. So that's basically why you get two different embargo releases, social media and full review. They want to pace out their positive buzz. All right, hope that's helpful. Anyway, let's go on now to the next question. And the next question today comes to us from Patreon supporter Dion Shepard, who writes, "Hey, John. Hey, you doing, Dion? And thanks for being a Patreon supporter. As the Super Bowl approaches, and as we all hypothesize what films will get spotlights, what do you think are the chances of an Aquaman spot? Thanks, and bring on the filthy." Well, we already know of a couple of films that are going to be getting highlighted at the Super Bowl. You know, we know that The Rock's movie Skyscraper, is that the name? Skyscraper? I think that's the name of his new movie. It's going to get a spot on the Super Bowl. We know Mission Impossible 6 is going to get a spot on the Super Bowl. A lot of people are theorizing we're at least going to get a 15-second look at the Solo trailer at the Super Bowl. There's a lot of stuff coming out. Now, Aquaman doesn't come out till December, but it's not as ridiculous as you may think. The concept that, hey, maybe Warner Brothers would want to drop a little Aquaman teaser at the Super Bowl. Yes, it's forever away, but it's not as crazy as it sounds, because consider this. as opposed to, say, Ant-Man, that literally has 2 MCU movies still to come out before Ant-Man comes. Aquaman is the next DCEU film. There's no other DCEU film coming out between now and December when Aquaman's supposed to come out, right? None. So on that level, it's not so crazy to think that maybe Warner Brothers, in the midst of all these MCU movies coming out, might want to make a little bit of a splash and say, hey guys, just so you know, it's a ways away, but coming near the end of the year, Jason Momoa, you loved him as Aquaman in Justice League. He's back in his own solo film, Aquaman. It's not a crazy thought. If there was one other DCU movie coming out between now and then maybe it's kind of crazy, but it's not as crazy as you think. It is the next film up. If you want to be a little bit subversive and you want to do a little bit of a disruption in there, drop a DCEU trailer just to remind everybody the DCEU is still here. I know we got 3 Marvel films coming out before the next DCEU film. Black Panther, Avengers, Ant-Man and the Wasp. We got 3 full movies coming out from the MCU before we get to our next DCU film. Why not be a little disruptive? Drop a DCU little drop in the pool there just to remind everybody it's coming. Now, that being said, that I don't think it's a totally crazy idea that it could happen. Just because it's not crazy doesn't mean it's likely. And I think it's very, very unlikely. Because, again, as I pointed out, it is still 10 months away. So, long term, if I'm an exec at Warner Brothers, I'm thinking, and some junior exec came and say, hey, let's spend $2 million and drop an Aquaman spot at the Super Bowl. My concern then becomes, what good is that going to do? I mean, the movie's still 10, 11 months away. Everybody's going to forget about it entirely by the time we even get to the summer that this spot has dropped. What's the point right now? And it's not like this is Comic-Con where everybody is looking for this sort of material. This is the Super Bowl. It's a little bit different. So, I mean, it's one thing to drop a spot at something like Comic-Con for something that's coming out 10 months from now, a year from now. That's one thing. Super Bowl, a little bit different. Plus, you don't need to spend $2 million just to drop your 30-second spot at Comic-Con, right? So it's a little bit different. So while I don't think it's a totally crazy idea, I also think it's very unlikely. I think it's tremendously unlikely at this point. So, and remember, I mean, they're finished shooting the film, but they're still crafting it at this point. So let's give them some time. So no, I don't expect to see an Aquaman spot at the Super Bowl. Now watch, they're going to drop a big 5-minute spot at the Super Bowl, and I'll be completely wrong. All right, let's move on to the next question. And the final emailed in question today comes to us from Patreon supporter Jeremine Sneed, who writes, and first of all, thank you so much for being a Patreon supporter. I am African American and black. Panther has given... I think I completely read that wrong. I am African American and black. Hello, John Campea. I am Caucasian and white. I'd like you to meet my my wife Anne. She is Filipino and Asian. Maybe if I learned how to read properly. I am African American and black. I am African American and Black Panther. That's how it's supposed to be read. I am African American and Black Panther has given me a different kind of excitement. Since the first reactions for the movie, I've heard people say that just like Wonder Woman, people are being politically correct and loving the movie because of the social importance of each film. Does social significance affect the reviews? All right, thanks a lot for the question, man. And you know what? This is something that a lot of people have been talking about. Some very innocently asking the question fairly, some kind of asking in an accusatory kind of way. Look, we got all the... I remember when Wonder Woman came out. And a lot of people... First of all, Wonder Woman's a wonderful movie. No pun intended. Wonder Woman's a really good movie. Did I think it deserved Oscar nominations? No. But Wonder Woman is a good movie. It's a really good film. I quite enjoyed myself. I probably would have enjoyed it more if they had gotten a better lead actress, but that's neither here nor there. It's a really good movie. And I remember getting in several debates with people saying, critics are just saying they like it because it's a woman in the lead. Really? Because, what was it called, Lucy? I'm forgetting now. I think it was called Lucy. That Scarlett Johansson movie was just out, and critics didn't love it. Oh, you're saying that critics just like it because it's a woman lead movie and you're supposed to say you like it? Well, Ghost in the Shell, also with Scarlett Johansson, now that I think about it. The Ghost in the Shell was just out, and did it get praised? A big female action lead, and it didn't get praised. So there goes that argument. So this whole argument of people only say they liked Wonder Woman is because it had a female lead. Really? Then explain all these other female lead movies that didn't get positive things. The newest Underworld film came out. Big geek-centric movie, strong, badass female lead in it, high action, intense, geek-centric movie. Critics thrashed it. So sorry. I'm sorry. That doesn't mean you need to like the film, not at all. But I'm sorry, this whole excuse you're making up that critics only liked it because it had a female lead. Really? Because the proof proves you're wrong. Like you're objectively wrong about that. There is statistical data and proof that shows you are wrong. People did not just like it because it's got a female lead. Movie critics did not just say they liked Wonder Woman because it's got a female lead. Because if that were true and your logic held water, which it doesn't, but if your logic held water, that means automatically Underworld with Kate Beckinsale would have gotten huge critical reviews, which it did not. Ghost in the Shell would have gotten huge critical reviews, which it did not. So don't come at me with your excuses. Remember we talked yesterday about toxic fandom? One of the main things movie fans need to learn to stop doing is stop making excuses for why other people like something we don't or don't like something that we do. We got to stop making excuses. And this whole thing, I get it. There are people out there who didn't like Wonder Woman, and there's nothing wrong with that. If you didn't like Wonder Woman, that's perfectly fine. You shouldn't change your mind. If it didn't work for you, it didn't work for you. No skin off anybody else's nose. But what you need to not do is make excuses to try to justify the fact that you don't like it. You don't need to justify that you don't like it. But so many people feel like, I need to justify that I don't like it, so I'll say the only people who say they like it is because there's no woman in the lead. You're just making yourself look stupid. And it's counterproductive, and you don't need to do it. Because you didn't like it, and that's fine. Yay! Anyway. So, but here's the thing, too. For a movie to get the type of praise that, say, Wonder Woman got and that Black Panther is going to get, there have been other movies with black lead characters, black lead action heroes. There have been other movies with women lead characters, women lead action heroes. And yes, do you want to recognize the social importance of it? Sure you do, but it has to start by being a decent movie. Now, if a movie's a good movie, then the fact that it's also socially important can bring a little extra oomph to it. Sure, no doubt about that. I'm not going to deny that. I think that's true. I even think if you just look at the social media reactions for Black Panther is, first of all, it's a great movie. And then secondary to that, and it's so awesome to see a film like this being made. But being awesome to see a film like this being made has no value if the movie isn't a good movie first. And look, all I can tell you is that a lot of people are loving Black Panther. I don't care if this breaks review embargo by a hair. I'm just saying, I love Black Panther. I love this movie. But I was totally ready to hate it if it wasn't good. You know, I go into all my Marvel stuff and I go into all my DC stuff, but I go into all my Marvel stuff expecting great things, but also being prepared to hate it if it sucks. You know, I want to love Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but to me, it's anyway. I wanted to love Iron Fist so much, but it sucked. In my opinion, you may have loved it, that's fine. But I'm saying to me, it sucked, so I will say it sucked. I wanted to love Inhumans, but I was prepared that if it's no good, I'm going to come out and say it's no good. Guess what? Inhumans was no good, so I call it. I went into Black Panther. Guess what? I don't care what anybody else says. I don't care about what you're expected to say this, expected to say that. I don't give a shit. I really don't. If I didn't like it, I just flat out say I don't like it. If I just wanted to be cool, I would tell everybody that I thought the original Blade Runner was one of the greatest films of all time, like everybody else thinks. But I don't think that, so I admit, hey, guys, I know everybody else loves, Blade Runner, but I didn't love it. I quite like Blade Runner 2049, but I didn't like the original Blade Runner. And yes, the orange drink is back. Anyway, so I think with films like this, the critics find meaning and extra value in the social importance of it, but only once it's been established that they like the movie. There's no point in talking about the social importance of it if the movie's not good. Let's again look at Underworld. There could have been a huge social statement there, a big social message statement with an exclamation mark, if Underworld had been good. If Underworld had been a great movie, the last Underworld movie, if it had been a great movie that people loved, then you would have heard more talk about the positive social message of it, about having, look, you can have kick-ass, badass female leads, lead these films, and blah, blah, blah. But that wasn't something that was brought up because the movie wasn't good. Right? So, the fact of the matter is, people really liked Wonder Woman. And since it's great, and since it's really good, then people can talk about being good. It just pushes this great social message because it's good. With Black Panther, if it sucked, no one's going to be talking about the social message about a movie that sucked. It's got to be good first. And if it's good, then on top of all that, the cherry on top of that sundae becomes it's got a great social message. So no, I don't believe that you're seeing critics praising Wonder Woman just because it was a female lead movie. There is statistical data to prove that false. No, I do not believe that people are just praising Black Panther because it's a black lead movie. There is statistical data to prove that is false. People are loving it because they love it. And that's just that simple. Now, you can like it or not like it, and there's nothing wrong with that. I can like it and not like it, and there's nothing wrong with that either. But again, we as movie fans need to move out of our excuse-making habits of trying to come up with reasons why people like something we don't like, or something they like a lot that we don't like as much. We got to stop making those excuses and just say, hey, to me it didn't work, but for them it worked great. Good on you. It's like me with the prequels, right? I think the prequels are a dumpster fire of movies. But if you like them, that's awesome. I'm glad you like them. Awesome. I'm not going to sit here and make excuses why you like them. I'm just going to say, hey, you watched them. They worked for you. Aces. And I think the same is true of films like Wonder Woman and Black Panther. So anyway, I'm sure that's not going to put an end to that discussion. Everybody's got opinions about this. And that's the great thing about being film fans is we can all discuss these things and understand we're all on the same team. We're film fans together. All right. With that out of the way, I want to take just a minute here now, guys, before we get into the live questions, to do my daily 1-minute plug of my admittedly shameless plug for the thing that keeps the lights on around here, my Patreon campaign. Here, check this out, and I'll be back in just 1 minute. For those of you who have followed me for any period of time, you guys know that I made the decision recently to leave the corporate overlords. I no longer wanted to work for corporations. I wanted to be an independent content creator. And the only way I've been able to do that is by the support of my Patreon supporters. So what I would like to do is to ask you guys who watch my shows, who spend any amount of time with me every single month, to consider going over to www.patreon.com/John Campea. There you'll get all the information about what exactly does it mean to be a Patreon supporter of mine? What does being a Patreon supporter do for helping to make sure that shows like this one and all the other shows I do here on my channel can actually be produced? And on top of that, what benefits are there to being a Patreon supporter? And maybe if you guys can check that out, if you decide you want to be one of my Patreon supporters, that would be awesome. And if you don't, that's perfectly fine too. I'm just happy that you guys have decided to be here today and be a fellow movie fan and join us in the conversation. So go and check out the website, see if you want to become a Patreon supporter. And now let's get back. All right, thank you guys, and a special thank you to all of you guys who are already Patreon supporters of mine. I appreciate it very much. All right, let's go on to the live questions now before we call it a day. And we go to our first live question. And our first live question comes to us from Ben Rainer, who writes, so if there's not going to be X-Men in the MCU till at least 2020, does that mean no X-Men movies for like 3 years? Can Fox fast track like a Deadpool 3 for like next year, or would that be too rushed? I mean, look, as long as Fox is in control of the properties, they can initiate and do whatever they want to do. But then again, I don't know what's in that agreement. Maybe in the agreement, there is a thing that says, hey, you won't go into production into any new stuff or anything like that. So it really all depends on the agreement. I think in theory, if Fox wanted to make more X-Men Universe stuff or Fantastic Four stuff, I think in theory they could right now. But then again, that all really depends on the nature of the agreement between Fox and Marvel. And they may have an understanding and an agreement between them that, hey, don't do any more stuff that isn't already in production because that might just complicate things for us moving forward. So that could be a part of the deal. We won't really know until we know the details of the film. So for now, let's just sit back, look forward to New Mutants, Deadpool 2, X-Men, the Dark Phoenix, and just be happy about that. But again, we just don't know. There's so many details in that deal between Fox and Marvel that we just don't know. We're just going to have to wait and find out. Siobhan Dixon writes, oh, and by the way, guys, if you have not sent in a chat yet, you got 30 seconds. And then after 30 seconds, please do not send in any more questions. Siobhan Dixon writes, earlier you said that Iron Man 3 was a misfire and divisive. It has an 80% Rotten Tomatoes score, 78% audience, and made $1.2 billion. One might personally not like the film, but on what basis is it a misstep in one's inner circle? Well, it was a misstep because, generally speaking, like, we all speak about films as from our own perspectives. When I talk to most, even MCU fans, most fans will say, blah, blah, MCU's great, MCU's great. Okay, maybe Iron Man 3 is not so much. Like, to me, I liked Iron Man 3 more than I liked Iron Man 2. I actually liked Iron Man 3. But, you know, a lot of people were really pissed off about the whole Mandarin misdirect and things like that. And I get it. To me, the biggest misstep is Iron Man 2. That's just not a great movie. But generally speaking, when you go through the MCU and people read out their lists, Iron Man 3 will quite often be down near the lower of that number. Now, did it make big money? Yes. I wasn't talking about misstep or misfire in terms. And remember, I wasn't highlighting Iron Man 3. I was highlighting Iron Man 2. So keep that in mind. But, you know, whether it's good at the box office or not doesn't necessarily mean it helped your franchise overall. So, yeah, I mean, hey, look, there are a bunch of people that like Iron Man 3. I like Iron Man 3. I don't love it. I don't think it's great. I certainly don't think it's in the top half of the MCU movies. But I like it. But, you know, they pissed off a lot of people with the whole Mandarin misdirect. The Mandarin misdirect worked for me, but I understand why it didn't work for some other people. Mason Barr writes, not sure if you're watching Waco, but I am, and I'm loving it. I just realized in episode 2, Supergirl from CW is in it. Well, and of course, Gambit from Wolverine Origin is in it too. Taylor Kitsch, he plays the lead. Michael Shannon, who is of course Zod in Superman. You got a lot of comic book associated actors in this thing. I have not started watching it yet, but I'm very excited for it. I am very excited for Waco. I mean, like, I think Taylor Kitsch is a superstar who has unfortunately just put himself in some really bad projects. And he lost his momentum, which is too bad. But I love Taylor Kitsch. I've been looking forward to seeing him in this. Luis Francisco writes, hey, John, Mission Impossible trailer coming. Hope Calvin saves all with that mustache. Greetings from Mexico. Keep up the great work. Thank you so much. And yes, I mean, and by Calvin, you meant Cavill. Here's hoping that mustache was worth it. Here's hoping them making him keep that mustache was worth it. Because hopefully he looks fantastic in that mustache in this trailer. Because it caused a lot of headaches for Justice League. Anyway, Andy A. Hernandez writes, how many times will you go see Black Panther? I'm going to go see it again on Monday. I'm going to go over to the Disney lot and watch it again on Monday. So that'll be 2 times. I'll probably see one more press screening after that before it opens. So that'll be 3. And then Ann and I have already bought our opening night tickets to see it opening night at the regular movie theater here. So opening night will be my 4th time seeing it. I might call it after 4, but it depends. Like, if I still have friends that haven't seen it, I might go, oh, come watch it with me then, and take people along to go watch it. So I don't know. I probably 5 or 6. Probably end up being about 5 or 6 times I'll go see Black Panther. Mr. J writes, will you be watching the Andre the Giant documentary? Damn right I will. Andre the Giant, there's just so many hearing other wrestlers just tell stories about Andre the Giant is some of the coolest stuff. For somebody to put together a full documentary on that, bringing all those stories together, I think is amazing. He was such a unique man. And I'm really looking forward to it. I can't wait to see it. Diego Cordova writes, hey, John, I watch your show all the time. Thank you so much, Diego. You helped me get through my rough college days. Thank you for your content and all you do. Fun question. Who would win in a battle? Spider-Man versus Deadpool? Deadpool. It just eventually, Spider-Man will run out of gas and run out of lives. I mean, he can only be killed once. I mean, great, Spider-Man can do whatever he wants to Deadpool, But Deadpool is just going to keep coming. Unless, Spider-Man figures a way to cut off his head, put it in a concrete block, sink into the bottom of the ocean. But then would his head just grow back? I'm not really sure. Or would his body go and find his head? I'm not sure. I'm going to go Deadpool. I think Deadpool wins that fight. I mean, but then again, it all depends on who the writer wants to make win that fight. I think there's an argument to be made both ways. All right, thanks a lot for the question, Diego. Luis writes, how many hours do you sleep? I am trying to wake up to work out before work as you do, but I'm having a really hard time. By the way, watch your show at work. Ever since the movie blog days when I did the movie blog audio edition, I've never ceased to be amazed how many people watch or listen to my shows at work. It depends. I'm trying to get like 6.5 hours of sleep. It normally ends up being about 5.5 hours. Like I'm one of these people, it takes me a while to get to sleep. So I normally wander to bed around 11:15, but I don't normally actually fall asleep till about midnight. And then I've got my alarm set for 5:30, and that's when Anna and I go to the gym. So I'm pulling about, on average, between 5.5 and 6 hours of sleep. I am one of my New Year's resolutions is to try to start going to bed earlier. So I'm going to try to start going to bed like around 10:30 or something like that on nights that I don't have other things going on, just to try to squeeze in a little bit more sleep. But that's me. But you're right. Getting up in the morning to go to the gym is a pain in the ass, man. I hate it. Joel321 writes, love the show. Think we'll see Iron Man, Cap, or Thor 4? I think yes to all of them. I really do. I think we are going to see Iron Man 4, Cap 4, and Thor 4. I really do. I honestly do. Stig100900 says, Hilary Swank in Boys Don't Cry versus $1 Million Baby. Oh, you know what? I'll go $1 Million Baby. Hilary Swank is a stupid good actress. Like, just stupid good. Why she's not in more stuff right now, I would love to ask somebody, because she is a ridiculously compelling, engaging, draws you into the story kind of actress. I believe she's got 2 Academy Awards, too, for acting. Chick is just amazing. Like, freaking amazing. I wish she was in more stuff. Siobhan Dixit writes, John, is Infinity War the biggest and most revolutionary film in terms of cast, scale, and build-up to ever be made? Can't think of any other film that comes close. I'm going to agree with that on that level, the way you're describing it. Let me just bring up the cast list again, because this is the cast for one movie. All right. Karen Gillan, who just killed it in Jumanji, by the way. Dave Bautista, Chris Hemsworth, Scarlett Johansson, Sebastian Stan, Zoe Saldana, Vin Diesel, Chris Pratt, Tessa Thompson, Tom Hiddleston, Tom Holland, Elizabeth Olsen, Chadwick Boseman, Benedict Cumberbatch, Chris Evans, Robert Downey Jr., Paul Bettany, Benicio del Toro, Josh Brolin, Paul Rudd, Colby Smulders, Bradley Cooper, Peter Dinklage, Jeremy Renner, Angela Bassett, Gwyneth Paltrow, Jon Favreau, Mark Ruffalo, Benedict Wong, Sean Gunn, Anthony Mackie, Don Cheadle. Oh my God, are you fucking kidding me? That's the cast of 5 movies all in one. So if you're going to put in terms of, is this the biggest, the most, well, it's not revolutionary is not the right word to use. So let's not use the word revolutionary. But biggest in terms of like cast and scale and build up, absolutely. I mean, that doesn't mean the movie's going to be good. There are some people worried that that type of convoluted cast all in one thing might undermine the movie and might hurt it. But it is definitely, so the movie might suck. Who knows? Obviously, I think it's going to be great. But sure, it could suck. Why not? But yeah, it's definitely huge in terms of cast. Ghostface1999 writes, why do faith-based films get such a bad reputation? Is it the content, or is it that they are poor films? What is one faith-based movie you enjoyed? Well, mostly, even as a person of faith who grew up in the church, I hated faith-based films, man. Just because they were crap. They're always crap. But people liked it because there were people who liked it because you don't have anything made in the media that really promotes their message. So when a movie comes out that does like kind of embody their message, obviously there's a tendency to like that. I get it. I mean, I know skateboarders, there were some skateboarding movies that absolutely sucked and BMX movies that just sucked. But I got BMX loving buddies who loved it because, it was a movie talking to them. I get it. That's fine. But even as somebody who is like in the church and stuff like that, I hated faith-based films just because they suck. It's difficult to call Hacksaw Ridge a faith-based film. But it certainly is a movie that revolves around a man whose whole life revolves around his faith. And so I will say Hacksaw Ridge. Hacksaw Ridge will be my favorite. Shagar Duwangan just sends in a super chat. Thank you so much, Sagar. Han Solo. Awesome. Han Solo writes, did you see ESPN's 30 for 30 documentary, The Two Bills, last night? I'm a huge Parcells fan as well and really enjoyed it. Go, Pats, go. Dude, I have not. I got to watch it because I was busy last night, but I'm watching that thing today. You're talking about my two all-time favorite NFL coaches, Bill Parcells and Bill Belichick. Those are my two all-time favorite football coaches. And the whole idea, like, we really almost every single NFL coach can trace their coach lineage to one of those two guys. It's crazy, and I cannot wait to watch it. Daryl Best Wadley writes, hey, John, you're still my hero. You said you didn't know Tupac was in movies before he died. You never saw Juice, Poetic Justice, or Gang Related. I think at the time, like I saw a couple of those, but I think at the time I didn't really think of it as, it just didn't click to me Tupac's in it. I think that's kind of what happened. Phil Lee writes, regarding Split as adapted screenplay, what if it was written as a trilogy from the beginning? Kind of like Kill Bill, doesn't matter. The Academy has their rules about it. They would still look at it a certain way. And I don't think that makes sense. I think if it's an original story, even the sequel should be considered an original screenplay. That's how I feel, but the way the rules are, as I understand them, they would still be considered adapted, even though I don't think it makes much sense. Hunter Padgett writes, have you seen Hostiles yet? Great January movie. Finally got around to seeing Hostiles with Christian Bale. It's a great movie. Christian Bale, you know what? I think there's an argument to be made. It might be Christian Bale's best performance. It might be the best performance he's ever given. I think there's an argument to be made for that. So yeah, it's a wonderful movie. People, I mean, I'm not going to review it because I saw it so late, but it's a wonderful film. Wayne Clark writes, who wins head-to-head, John Wick or Denzel's Equalizer? Remember, the Equalizer uses no guns. John Wick. John Wick wins that fight. He's one of the few guys who'd be able to take out Denzel's Equalizer, but I think John Wick wins that fight. Phil Lee writes, who wins in this fight? Green Lantern Corps versus prequel Jedis. I'll go prequel Jedis on that one. Interesting question, though, because the Green Lanterns, I mean, really, when you think of it, they're quite powerful. But yeah, I'll go Jedis. I'll go the Jedis on that. Ben Rayner. I had a question. If DC wanted him to be Green Lantern, and if Bradley Cooper wanted to be Green Lantern, would he be able to, even though he's the voice of Rocket Raccoon? Sure, why not? Why wouldn't he? I mean, what's the actor's name? The guy who played Sulla in, I'm forgetting the actor's name, the guy who played Sulla in the Indiana Jones films, and he plays Gimli the Dwarf in the Lord of the Rings films. And he's also Treebeard, the voice of Treebeard in the Lord of the Rings films. So he both has a on-camera face role as Gimli, and he did the voice of one of the animated characters, Treebeard, the Ent, the walking tree. So yeah, I don't see why would there be any reason that if they wanted that to happen, that Bradley Cooper being the voice of Rocket Raccoon would have any problem with that. I don't think there would be an issue at all. Besides, one's DC, one's Marvel. Doesn't matter. Chris Evans was in a DC and in Marvel. Actually, he was in two different versions of Marvel films, I should say. He was Johnny Storm and he was something else. So, I mean, we've got a number of actors who have been both in DC and Marvel films. So really, there's no problem with that, if that's what they wanted to do. Let's see. Jessica Tennis writes, think Black Panther may still be in top 10 films when Infinity War comes out. Feel it might have extremely long legs without any really big films until then. Thoughts? No, it's 10 weeks. 10 weeks. It's possible. Like, if you said top 5, definitely not. Top 10, it's possible. But 10 weeks is a long time theatrically. So, again, it's possible. I wouldn't put my money on it, though. But who knows? Let's wait and see. Interesting question, Jessica. Tank Mover writes, hey, John, love the show. Why do you think the comic book genre is so popular? I believe it's because it appeals to such a broad age range. Your thoughts? Well, I think it's multiple things. Number one, it's spectacle. People love spectacle in the movies. It's one of the reasons why Star Wars is so huge when it came out. People, and King Kong in its day. The movies is the best place to bring the big spectacle of filmmaking. And comic book films are consistently big spectacle films. Then you have the added advantage of that it's IP that a lot of people grew up with regardless of their age, because comics have been around for so long. and the fact that they've just been making good movies. Never take that one for granted. It's also just the fact that people have been making good movies out of the comic book stuff, and that's a big reason why too. Javier Rodriguez writes, big fan from Puerto Rico. Thank you so much. Do you count the Black Panther movie as an origin movie, or can we say the part in Civil War can be the origin? I wouldn't say either. Really, Black Panther is not an origin film, really. And it's certainly, his origin is not in Civil War, because in Civil War, he's already Black Panther. I mean, he's Black Panther when we saw him in Civil War, so it's not really an origin film. Black Panther, you can say it's the origin of him becoming king of Wakanda. There's that. But I don't know that I would qualify it as an origin film. John Hine writes, Halle Berry's Catwoman, most underrated movie ever? Oh, God, it's one of the worst films ever. It is not underrated. It is one of the worst movie. I have the unholy triumvirate of the worst 3 large blockbuster style Hollywood wide release films ever. They are, in no particular order, Highlander 2, Battlefield Earth, and Catwoman. Those are the 3 worst films of all time, in my opinion. Maybe you like Catwoman. That's great if you do, but to me it is not underrated. It is a piece of garbage, in my opinion. Andre Descrovi writes, huge fan from Brazil here. Thank you so much, Andre. Have you seen any good movies from my country? City of God, Elite Squad, or some? Well, I mean, City of God is amazing. I love City of God. Actually, I thought it deserved a little bit more oomph than it got. So, yeah, but, oh, gosh. I think, what other films would have been, like, Brazilian films? I'm going to admit my ignorance here. I'm having a hard time pulling some off the top of my head, but City of God's fantastic. I love that movie. Curtis Lopez writes, what do you think of Gordon Ramsay? I love watching clips of Hell's Kitchen and Kitchen Nightmares and just him ripping people. I like Gordon Ramsay. I've had the opportunity to meet Gordon Ramsay. I was actually, Ann and I once appeared on, I believe it was Hell's Kitchen, or it might have been Kitchen Nightmares. No, Kitchen Nightmares. Ann and I once appeared in Kitchen Nightmares. So I get people tweeting me all the time going, John, I was watching Kitchen Nightmares and there you are. And they send me these screenshots, which is always fun. I love Gordon Ramsay. I really do. My favorite restaurant in Las Vegas, and I go to Las Vegas all the time, is in the Paris Hotel, and it's called Gordon Ramsay's Steak. And his beef Wellington in steak is like one of my favorite things to eat ever. It's just amazing. Devontae Swing writes, if DC's next 2 movies, Aquaman and possibly Shazam, turn out to be a massive success, does DC have great momentum? 2 in a row, massive great success, sure, but that's a huge if, man. That's a huge if. Let's not take that for granted. Aaron Lautamaja writes, hey, John, I love your videos. Good job. Thank you so much, Aaron. I appreciate that. Haskell420 writes, hey, John, that show Happy. It's on Sci-Fi and it's 8 episodes. Synopsis. A hitman is forced to partner with an imaginary blue-ringed horse to rescue a kidnapped girl. Dude, it's actually great. Everybody's telling me it's great, man. Everybody is telling me it's great. I am absolutely going to check it out. Trevor Johnson writes, I think Marvel Disney tried to fix the Mandarin hate with the Ben Kingsley character one-shot. Not that I think they're ever going to bring it up again later. Yeah, there was a one-shot little short side story with Ben Kingsley's character now in prison, and somebody shows up because the real Mandarin is upset with him. It's like, oh, there's a real Mandarin, but you know what? No one ever saw it. Everybody forgot about it. It's too bad. I hope they do use the real Mandarin at some point. I think that would be a kick if they did. I hope they do. Anyway, guys, that will do it for this installment of the John Campea Show. Thank you so much for joining me and being a part of my day, guys. Listen, don't forget, jump down to the comment section. Leave your thoughts on any or all the topics we discuss here today. Make sure you click the thumbs up button, and also make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's real simple, keeping you up to date on everything I got going on here on the channel. Don't forget, guys, a little bit later today at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, that's 6 p.m. on the East Coast, we've got The Weekly Hero. We're just taking all the big news from the world of superhero films and TV over the past week, revisiting them, talking about them. It's all about you guys as well. Make sure you come back for that as well. So, that will do it for me, guys. Thanks so much for joining me. My name's John Campea, and until my next video, bye-bye.